How does Broncos quarterback Bo Nix feel about being listed as QB number 3 on the unofficial depth chart? Welcome into your Denver Sports Daily for August 8th. Let's go.
Taking you through your morning headlines, it's Denver Sports Daily with Rachel V. Hill.
The media, the fans, a lot of people were shocked when Sean Payton released the unofficial depth chart earlier this week, just discussing and putting the rookies all at the very back. But knowing what we've seen out at training camp, Bo Nix has been working with the ones more than Zach Wilson has. So to see Zach Wilson above him brought a little bit of shock. And yesterday we heard from all of the quarterbacks, Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix, and Zach Wilson. And of course, Bo Nix was asked about how he felt about being listed as QB number 3. And well, his answer will tell you everything you need to know. Take a listen.
Sean said he put the rookies all at the back of the depth chart, but before it came out, there was hubbub on social media, all that. You listed as number 3. Did you kind of notice that commotion or anything like that?
Couldn't care less.
Okay. So is that generally on the depth chart? You don't care how you're listed at this point, I guess, honestly.
Couldn't care less.
Now, Bo Nix was in a bit of a mood to start off his press conference yesterday, or being at the podium. And usually he's a little bit talkative. He's given us some really good answers, but he was really short to begin with, then opened up, got a little bit more. But I really believe that he couldn't care less about being out there, like at QB number 3, because he knows that he can still win the starting job. So does it matter that he's listed there? No, because he probably knows that he's QB number 1 or number 2 right now. So short and sweet when it comes to Bo Nix on whether or not he cares about being QB number 3. But let's hope that he's QB number 1 here in the upcoming days. We've got Jarrett Stidham video coming up here shortly. But first, we got to get to some breaking news coming out, because the Panthers have waived recently added defensive back Caden Stearns with a failed physical designation, the team confirmed. So in case you missed it, in fact, Caden Stearns was released by the Denver Broncos. They attempted to trade him, released him. The Panthers picked him up with the number 1 spot on the waivers, and he failed his physical. So they will no longer be rolling with Caden Stearns. We'll see what ends up happening there, of course, and keep you updated at denversports.com. All right, let's talk about rookies getting hazed. And we actually have a football player behind the camera that you guys could not see. So I wanted to ask him about being hazed. Did you get hazed when you were a rookie? Did you have to carry the pads in? We've seen this throughout the entire NFL. Do we remember the haircuts that they used to get? Team Tebow rocking like the angel halo. We don't see that anymore. And Jarrett Stidham kind of gives us a little behind the scenes look of like, we're not even allowed to do that anymore. He doesn't think, but the rookies are still getting hazed, whether they've got to go grab a snack or they've got to carry the pads in. And of course, the rookie dinner that everybody knows about. So how is Bo Nix handling being quote unquote hazed? Even though I don't know if I think hazing is exactly the right word, let's just say paying respect to his elders on the team. Take a listen.
Summarize his rookie chores.
Well, so he's got to carry our pads. That's a mandatory. Pretty much anything that goes wrong, I just blame him. I had a rookie haircut from Tom my rookie year. I think that's against the rules nowadays. We're not much of a snacking group, so we don't make him get snacks or anything. Sometimes I forget if I forget something in my locker, I'll make him go get it. He's pretty much he's got to do certain stuff for sure. And at whatever point we decide to do his rookie dinner, I will be getting a nice bottle of wine or something that, he's going to be paying for. So I'll make sure that's a really, really nice dinner, and I leave very, very happy and not hungry. So it'll be great.
Is he receptive to these rookie duties?
Whether or not if he is or if he isn't, he doesn't really have a choice. And sometimes he'll kind of bicker a little bit back at me, and I'm like, Bo, we have literally all done this before. So I make sure he gets his rookie duty, especially being first round pick. I actually make fun of him and Zach all the time because in their rookie contracts, they've made more money than I have in my entire career at this point. So I'm like, you two are not off the hook. So I let them have it for sure.
One of the things that was so funny to me about that was obviously the end of the video where he's talking about how, Zach and Bo's rookies deals is more than Jarrett Stidham has made in his entire NFL career, now going into year 6 or year 7, I believe. So that part definitely made me laugh. But just seeing Jarrett Stidham, he's owning the moment. Right now is his time to shine because he is in the quarterback battle. And you can see that with the confidence that he has, the leadership he has had. He's a guy that's been around Tom Brady and a lot of other greats. And you're seeing Jarrett Stidham kind of take that initiative right now. who knows what's going to happen week 1. But I do appreciate the fact that he is just truly enjoying where he is at right now, because again, it's probably going to change relatively quickly. And Bo Nix, the rookie, we're seeing all of the rookies do it. So it's not just Bo Nix. I love that he's giving a little bit of sass back to Jared Stidham, being like, dude, really? And he's coming out saying, we all had to do it. And let's just be lucky that the haircuts are no longer a thing. Let's get into participation for yesterday's training camp practice. Safety Brandon Jones and quarterback Levi Wallace continue to miss time due to a hamstring injury. Jones was seen working on the side field, but Peyton said there was no update on the potential return of either. You also have edge rusher Nick Benito, who remained out due to a back issue. No update. He's working through it, is what Peyton said in his podium yesterday, but I think he's close, but nothing to report. So there you go. Now let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. And no, we're not talking about Russell Wilson yet. We'll get to that in a second. But are the Pittsburgh Steelers interested in Brandon Aiyuk? Speculation is swirling again this week after the San Francisco 49ers gave the veteran receiver permission to seek a trade with the Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, the Washington Commanders, and the New England Patriots. The latter of the two have bowed out of consideration, leaving Pittsburgh and Cleveland as the lone potential destination. It was initially reported that the Steelers were out of the running, but NFL Network's Ian Rappaport now says the Steelers are for sure in the mix. Another source says that Pittsburgh already has a verbal agreement in place as well. I find this to be interesting. One, the Russell Wilson connection. Right now, Russ is supposed to be the starter. He's right now QB number 1. Justin Fields is QB number 2. So you've got that veteranism. You're going to see him probably out there at least week 1, unless he is hurt. That's going to be my big hot take right now is, yes, you will see Russell Wilson out there week 1. But if he had Brandon Aiyuk as a receiver, fascinating. But if not, if he ends up going to Cleveland, I just can't help but think of Jerry Jeudy and how Jerry Jeudy wants to be wide receiver number 1 so bad. And it just feels like he can never get that opportunity to be that guy. Obviously got traded in the offseason. He wanted out of Denver. And now if Brandon Aiyuk comes in, probably wide receiver number 1, I'm going to guess, and Jerry Jeudy wide receiver number 2, unless he's got a crazy season ahead of him. So I just can't help but think for both of those places how there are Broncos connections. But Brandon Aiyuk, of course, we talked about that in connection to, would you give up Cortland Sutton and 2 second-round picks to be able to go get Brandon Aiyuk? And all of these things, it all feels connected a little bit to the Denver Broncos. But like I did say, Wilson is listed as QB number 1 and Fields will be the backup. So a lot of people are paying attention to that in hopes that they will, in fact, see Russell Wilson return to the Mile High City for the second game of the NFL season. Okay, ESPN, they did a deep dive on where NFL scouts believe Shedeur Sanders sits for the NFL draft as he enters into the final season playing for the Colorado Buffaloes. We've all been talking about this for quite some time of where would he go? Could he be a top 5? Could he be the number 1 pick overall in next year's draft? But there are tons of different opinions that have stretched from comparing him to an MVP caliber quarterback to saying he's a day 2 pick at the current time. The scouts in the story were asked to give comparison for Sanders, and the 3 names stood out. Joe Burrow, that's a good name to be, compared to. Geno Smith, not a bad name. A guy who's been in the league a long time. And Tyrod Taylor, again, not a bad name. Smith, who was a madman at West Virginia and a former top pick, found a spot late in his career recently, obviously in Seattle. But more fun was the second most mentioned name in the former national title winner and the uber clutch, Joe Burrow. How cool is he also? So fascinating that people are paying attention and naming him kind of close to some of these guys every time somebody comes out of the draft. I remember doing a coffee break episode with Cecil Lammy, and I was like, all right, let's compare all of the Broncos picks to people we already know in the NFL. That gives people such a good, mindset of what to expect out of these players and what their potential and their ceiling could possibly be. And to see Joe Burrow being compared to, or I should say, Shedeur Sanders being compared to Joe Burrow is pretty dang cool. I don't know if he'll ever have the swag that Joe Burrow does, because again, bleaches his hair and he just shows up and he's like, I wanted to change. That's just so cool. But it is fun to see what everybody's talking about up there in Boulder with Shedeur. And of course, Coach Prime. All right, to the Olympics and the NBA we go. Let's go. All right. Joel Embiid did not practice for Team USA on Wednesday. And you might be like, Rachel, why the heck are we talking about Joel Embiid? Yes, it is Team USA, but it's also preparing for a matchup against Nikola Jokic and Serbia in the semifinals of the 2024 Olympics, which will be happening today on Thursday. Team USA's coach Steve Kerr says they held the center out of practice as he battles an ankle injury, which is just a precautionary thing. Embiid has not had a strong summer for the national team, but is coming off of his best game where he scored scored 14 points and 7 rebounds in 12 and a half minutes in a blowout game against Brazil. The quarterfinal matchup sets up a battle with Nikola Jokic as the NBA's last 4 MVP trophies. Yes, in fact, the last 4 between Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic will go blow for blow in a pursuit of gold in Paris. It's the 3rd time that Team USA will meet Serbia this summer. First time was a team expedition. I can't say it. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. It was a practice game, essentially, where USA won 105-79. Then the 2 squared off in the Olympic opener, where Serbia was bested 110-84 in group play. And ahead of the most recent game, Embiid claimed sickness and was a game time decision for the contest, which of course sparks a lot of interest of like, okay, we've seen Embiid try and dodge Jokic in Philly and here in the Mile High City. In the Olympics too, that'd be a little crazy, but we'll see how that ankle is feeling today as they, of course, get ready for tip-off, which will be later this afternoon here, rolling up here, because obviously in Paris, it's 8 hours ahead of here where we are in the Mile High City. So things will be rolling up very, very quickly. All right, to the Olympics now, just to talk about some of the good things that have been going on. The U.S. women's basketball team defeated Nigeria 88-74 yesterday to advance to the semifinals at the Olympics. Aja Wilson led the U.S. in scoring with 20 points. Jackie Young added 15. Brianna Stewart put up 13, and Brittany Griner scored 11. They will now face Australia in the semifinal on August 9th for a spot in the gold medal game on August 11th. The team is chasing their 8th straight gold medal, so hopefully they're able to succeed and bring home another one to the United States. Another fun one, just because we haven't talked about it much, the U.S. men's water polo team is celebrating. Goalie Adrian Weinberg made 2 huge saves, including one with his face for an 11-10 victory yesterday. The American men are headed to the semifinals for the first time since 2008 to face Serbia, the 2-time defending gold medalist. The United States has never won men's water polo gold despite 6 past medals in the event. So we got, of course, your medal count too, because we were so excited yesterday because the U.S. was finally above China with the most golds, but unfortunately now 1 behind it, 28 for China, 27 for the United States. But again, the U.S. keeps rolling with 95 total medals. All right, let's check out some of your comments on this Thursday. How you do anything is how you do everything. I love this so much. I think this is such a powerful quote, and I totally agree with this. So I'm really glad you commented that and shared that quote. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning. Thank you, guys. Good morning, Rachel. I love Bo's response. That was my response, to be truthful. I think it is great too. He clearly did not want to talk. I wish I could have shown you the beginning part of the interview or the podium time, because he was very, very short and snippy. So when he was going through that, I was like, oh, he really did not want to talk about it. James Palmer and I are on coffee break today. A really, really good conversation. And we kind of talked about Bo Nix, where he stands. Does he look like a rookie? All of that jazz. We also spend a lot of time on Zach Wilson because, yeah, we're all considering him out of the mix. But James Palmer, I'm going to give you just a little tidbit, is saying that he looks better than he did in New York here and that this is a rebuild, in fact, for the quarterback. So don't completely count him out maybe this season, but who knows about next season. Does the depth chart mean Stidham is starting, or is Sean plan to get Bo more reps in preseason since starters might play very little? Okay, so I'm hopefully really going to be excited about today's practice and today's podium with Sean Payton, because I'm hoping he's going to finally answer who will be starting on Sunday against the Colts, which I'm 99.5% sure it is going to be Jarrett Stidham for a little bit, Bo Nix, and then Zach Wilson. So I'm wondering if we're going to see 1 quarter of Jarrett Stidham, then maybe the second quarter and the third quarter after half with Bo Nix, and the fourth quarter with Zach Wilson. Like, that's kind of how I'm looking at it in my brain. We'll see what happens. Of course, Sean Payton could always change it. But right now, I would say that nobody knows who the starter is going to be. Sean Payton may be in the back of his head, but it could totally change because we are 1 month away today from the Broncos taking on the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. So buckle up, everybody, because the next month things get crazy. Let's see. I'm reading. Oh, leave. I love this. I have read that Nix goes off strip too much for Peyton's liking. Interesting. I have not actually heard that. We've definitely seen him take some chances. But that would mean Bo Nix is a little too close to Russell Wilson. So that would kind of surprise me if that is in fact true. Plus, I feel like we haven't seen too many times that he's gone off script. We've seen the offensive line struggle a little bit, which is another thing James Palmer and I talk about on Coffee Break today. So make sure you listen. But I feel like I haven't seen too much stuff. Any Avalanche news? No Avalanche news. Training camp's going to be here before we know it for those guys. But other than them signing Oliver Kylington, I believe is his last name, nothing is happening over there with the Burgundy guys. So that's going to do it, though, you guys. We're off to Broncos training camp. It's going to be very rainy, it looks like, but finally some cooler weather. So if you are headed out there or you're even there and you're just watching us on the hill, we appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time. Like I said, James Palmer, Coffee Break, 12 p.m. Definitely go watch, and then I'll have your guys' recap for you tomorrow on everything that's happening today. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, like, and comment down below, please. And we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful Thursday, everybody.